3.
Welcome to Arts and Leisure on the HAN Network. This is our weekly program featuring everything that is coming up in the area's music, arts, and entertainment scene. We will interview local artists, authors, musicians, and even some nationally recognized names who may be performing here in our area. We will have movie reviews and film suggestions from the real dad, Mark Schumann, and etiquette tips from Catherine Michaels. This is your all-access pass, and here are your hosts, Arts and Leisure editor Sally Sanders and our entertainment reporter Steve Coulter.
Welcome to Arts and Leisure on the HAN Network. I'm your host, Steve Coulter. I'm joined on the couch, as always, with my co-host, Sally Sanders. Today we've got Joe Landry from the Music Theater of Connecticut. Welcome to the couch, Joe.
Thanks very much.
You've got a wonderful show coming to the theater main stage in Norwalk, Sleuth, acclaimed play,
Yes.
Tony-winning play. And this is the first time it's come to Connecticut, or?
I'm sure it's been done in Connecticut at some point. It's the first time that we're doing it.
Right, okay.
Yes.
And you guys are celebrating your 30th year anniversary,
Yes,
of
this
course,
is the 30th anniversary of Music Theater of Connecticut.
So a lot of fun
very
stuff's
exciting.
happening on Westport Avenue in Norwalk.
Correct.
And the show is going to be going November 4th to the 20th on the weekends.
Right, Friday, Saturday, and
Sunday. Yep. So that should be a fun time for everybody who's in the mood for a British kind of spy thriller.
Yes, exactly. It's sort of if you still want to celebrate Halloween for the next 3 weeks, we have a fun thriller
going,
for
right?
you. So yes.
Get a little scared?
A little bit, yes. Yeah. It definitely has some people on the edge of their seat. So
Good.
Yeah, there are a
Good.
lot of surprises and scares in it, which is a lot of fun.
So the two actors in it are the lead actors
The
in
two
it.
lead actors are David Brickman, who is he was from the UK, and he's done a lot of theater in the UK. He's also done some work for BBC America. And the other lead actor is John Little, who is semi-local. He lives in New York, and he has previously appeared at MTC in Ancestral Voices, which is an A.R. Gurney play we did about 5 years ago. But they're both in rehearsal right now, which is why they can't be here today. But they're rehearsing for 10 hours today, so hello to them. But yes,
Got to keep them in the lab.
Yeah, it's what they call in Actors Equity. It's called a 10 out of 12, and they rehearse for 10 out of 12 hours. So they have 2 1-hour breaks during the day.
Wow.
So they're there from 10 this morning till 10 tonight.
That's very intensive.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dedicated to the craft.
Something that's different about MTC is that you are an equity theater.
We are, yes. We're an equity theater, which is Actors Equity is a union out of New York, which is the actor for the Union for Professional Actors. And to be on Broadway or to be in a regional theater, you need to be part of Actors Equity, which is a membership. And with that comes a whole bunch of the salaries are regulated by Actors Equity, and also there's a big handbook of all the do's and don'ts and everything you need to do during rehearsal, during a performance.
You have protections if you're in equity too, right?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. It is a union. So there's like a deputy is assigned to in each cast, and that person is sort of like the person who responds to equity and that sort of thing. But yeah.
So it's not too crazy. It's more controlled.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these are people who are doing this for their livelihood?
Yes, they are.
Right.
They
Yeah.
are. Yes. Yeah. John was in the national tour of Cabaret that Roundabout Theater has done. You might know that production. That's been in and out of New York a couple times, and yeah. So they're both really great to work with.
For those who've never gone to main stage before, it's a small 110 person.
Correct. It's a
theater, is that right?
110 seat theater. It's we say it's Connecticut's most intimate theater going experience.
I would say so.
No seat is more than 4 rows from the stage.
Oh, nice.
And so they're seating on 3 sides. And the set for this production is very, very elaborate. It's set in the home of a famous British mystery writer, and he is a huge games player. So his whole living room is full of games. So the person who is doing or a few people have been doing the props, but they said it's sort of like a scavenger hunt. It's been having to find all these different items from different periods, and there's a lot of fun to it, and I think that. Also, it's one of the more environmental productions, you could say, almost, because you really feel like you're in this room with them. Like you're sort of sitting, if you're in the first row, you're basically this close to them.
In the living room, yes?
Yes, yeah.
You can touch them almost.
You could, well, yeah. Okay.
Not
You
a
don't
little
want to,
weird,
but
but
you
yeah.
could, I guess.
Not encouraged.
Right, yes.
That's part of the handbook.
Exactly.
One of the rules, it's not permitted.
Right.
And so when did you find out that you guys were getting Sleuth? And what was that process like?
Well,
'cause it's a very notable play. A lot of people know.
Yeah, it is. We were looking to do a thriller at this time of year, and even though it is called Music Theater of Connecticut, we also do plays. So we've been doing plays on and off for the past I'd say at least like 10 years or so, we started doing plays. And a number of the plays we do have something to do with music. Like we did Masterclass, which is Terrence McNally's play about Maria Callas.
Right.
So
yeah.
that was a play that had some music in it. But this play does have music. It doesn't have singing. Well, maybe a little bit of singing, but yeah. So this season, Kevin Connors and Jim Schilling, who are the founders of MTC, and they've been there for the past 30 years since it started. Started in Fairfield, then moved to Westport, and now we're in Norwalk. And when planning a season, you sort of want to balance everything out. And so we're doing. We opened with Gypsy, which was a classic musical, and that did very well. And now we have. Sleuth is a second slot, and then we're doing 3 more shows for the rest of the season.
And what are those?
We're doing It's a Wonderful Life, a live radio play, which is in December.
Which you wrote.
I did.
Yes.
Yeah, I also do some writing, so yeah, that's a play that I've done, and we've done there a few times. We haven't done it in a few years now, but it did really well for them. We won the Moss Hart Award for the best production in New England, and that did really well. And then after that, we have one more play called I'll Eat You Last, a chat with Sue Mengers. Sue Mengers.
Oh, yeah.
Bette Midler played that in New York, and that's a lot of fun, especially if you're into like the old movies or movies
Gossip.
of the 70s and 80s and gossip and that sort of thing, yes. And then the last show of the season is End of the Rainbow, which is about the final years of Judy Garland.
Ooh.
So, yeah, so they're doing a play about the beginning of Judy Garland's life up at Goodspeed right now, and then we're doing one about the end of her career.
life.
So, yeah.
And so a very diverse.
Have you got these shows all
Pretty
cast
diverse.
yet, or?
Well, no, they're not all cast. I mean, the next show, they're typically only cast about a month out or so.
Okay.
I mean, depending. I mean, I'm not sure what we can and can't say right now, but I mean, I think they might have someone for I'll Eat You Last as a one-person show. So sometimes you want to try to get that person locked down ahead of time, because it's to do an hour and 15-minute, an hour and 20-minute play that's only one person. You sort of want to have more time. That actor wants to have more time with that role.
Sure.
And Sleuth is really just a 2-man show, right?
Well,
or
it's 5. There are 5 actors in it, and they're the 2 that we mentioned are the 2 leads. So they're the ones that are in the beginning. It's a tricky show to talk about because you don't want to say too much.
You don't want to give away too much.
Yeah, you can spoil things pretty easily, but there are twists at every turn. I can tell you that.
Well, people that are unfamiliar with the story, why don't you give us
I can tell you a little bit. I can tell you what happens at the very beginning of the play.
Sure.
I can tell you that it's this famous mystery writer, Andrew, who has this house in the country in London, or not in London, but in England, and he invites another man who's to come to his house and sort of hatches a scheme with him that could be mutually beneficial. And that's kind of all I can say.
Perfect. No, you nailed it.
Okay.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, yeah.
Dark and Stormy Nights? No?
Yeah, there's some dark and stormy, yes. And there's a lot of drinking. But, and a lot of the stores, they just like drink and drink and drink.
Yes,
But
well, what else is there to do in an English country house?
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned the 30th anniversary. Do you guys have a special celebration or a gala, anything like
we
that?
did. We had one earlier this season, and we were probably going to do something else in the spring, but we just did a last month, or actually earlier this month, we did a one-night event where we had a bunch of actors who'd been in productions over the 30 years. And MTC is also a school. We're a school of performing arts, so there's an alumni. There were alumni there also, and it's sort of come full circle in some cases where you've had a student who went to MTC who would later come back and be part of the main
As a
stage.
professional.
Right, yes, exactly.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
How long have you been with it?
I've been there, I saw the first couple of shows they did when they were in Fairfield. I was still in high school then. But I've been with them for maybe almost 20 years now. And,
wow. So you've got a big part of their history as yours too.
Yeah, I have been there for a while, but it's been really great. And I love the intimacy of it. And I work for a number of other theaters, but I really call MTC home.
Do you also teach?
I don't teach. I have taught. I've taught playwriting at Sacred Heart and some other places, but I don't teach at MTC.
And is the season always like 5 or 6 musicals?
It was usually, I think it went from 3 to 4 to 5.
We're
at 5 right now.
Keep adding.
Right, yeah.
Nice. Well, that's always good.
Yeah, it's the figuring out the schedule with, it's a larger space than it was, but it's still, you sort of have to juggle the space between the classes and and the rehearsal and
Getting
you
the
know.
sets done.
School is
Exactly.
there too. in
Yeah,
that
there's a
building?
school there also.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
They fit it all in one small space.
Well,
in the
right. Yes. I mean, there's the theater itself, which some classes are held in there, and then there's another
Oh, okay.
space that's sort of
Gotcha.
used for classes, and then they also have private vocal lessons and private acting lessons, and there's a studio for those, also.
I'm interested in the radio plays
You
too.
are.
How many have you done?
Oh gosh. Well, I think. I want to say 5. I can try to count them, but Wonderful Life was first.
Yeah,
Okay,
that
so
was.
Wonderful Life,
I
that was the
remember
first
when
one.
that first came
Yeah, that
out.
started
Yeah.
down in Stamford, and it's
Yeah.
been done a bunch of different places since then. And then I did Vintage Hitchcock, which is 3 early Hitchcock films. That started down in Atlanta and was done maybe 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, I did a new adaptation of Meet Me in St. Louis, which was done down at Bucks County. So that was taking what was the film. So it was a film, then it was a stage musical, and it was taking the stage musical and cutting it down to 5. I think we had 5 actors in it. So we did that down there, and then A Christmas Carol was done at MTC 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
Something like that,
started.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then most recent one is War of the Worlds, which was just
Yeah.
published, and we're just working on.
Oh,
that
that'd
now,
be a cool
so,
one to see, I'm
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. That was a really cool project because I was actually working on writing a play about War of the Worlds, and my publisher called and they're like, "Oh, we're actually working with the estate of Howard Koch, who wrote the radio play that Orson Welles did," and they're like, "We'd like to talk to you about writing a piece that would sort of go around that, because that's about an hour or a little less than an hour, and typically for a full-length play, you want to have people there for at least an hour and 10, an hour and 15, 20 minutes." So,
Yeah.
so they asked me if I'd want to write something around that piece. So that's what I've done, and that just got published, and people are starting to do that now. So.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
And is
So
it-
how many was that? 5?
I think that was.
Yeah,
I
that
think we
was
got
5.
Okay, all right, cool.
Is it harder to do the radio ones, you feel, than typical plays?
I don't know. I mean, I've been doing those for a while now, also, and I've sort of I've learned a lot of tricks of how they're done, and I think it's a way to typically take a larger story and show it in a smaller way. And in the case of Wonderful Life, it fits perfectly into the period because the 1940s was kind of the golden age of
That
Oh, radio drama. Yeah.
right, yeah, which is when the film is set. So it worked really well, and every year we worked on it, we sort of cut it down and down smaller and smaller. At first year I think we had 12 actors, and now it's typically done with 5. So
Do you have a sound effects person?
we will have a sound effects. Well, you know what? Actually, I think in Norwalk, the actors are going to do the sound effects. Sometimes they have a separate person do the sound effects, and sometimes the actors also do them, which I kind of prefer that, even though it's not traditional.
Yeah.
I mean, you would typically have someone who would only
There
do
would
the sound
be the
effects.
guy, yeah.
But for an audience, I think it makes it visually more interesting to have the actors jumping between mics and doing sound effects, and sometimes doing
That
conversations
is the question
with themselves.
with
and
radio
things like
plays, isn't it? That because you're trying to be visual and pretend you're radio.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, a lot of times we try to come up with the most visual way to do a sound effect, because I mean, we try not to just like go to drop a needle on a record and have that be the sound effect. We try to find another way to make that, and usually it's sort of like, what's the most visual way you can make this sound? So.
Lots of things to think about.
It's a lot of fun, and it's been great to see a bunch of different productions of that, because they're never the same. They're always
done all
different.
over the country
yeah,
now, right?
Yeah, it's been doing really well. Yeah.
Good.
And what better time of the year to watch It's a Wonderful Life on
that's
stage
true.
Yeah.
than this one. And of course, Sleuth this month is
Yes, we're being
perfect
very
and fitting with
holiday.
Halloween
yes, sort
kind of
yes.
mystery thriller. Joe, thank you so much for coming on the
Oh,
couch.
my pleasure.
And
Thanks so much
tickets
for
can be
having me.
bought at 203 or call 203-454-3833.
3883.
3883. Got it.
Okay, yeah. yeah.
And then
or-
www.musictheaterofct.com.
Correct.
I didn't butcher that one.
It was close. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And we're going to come back and we're going to talk our favorite Halloween movies in keeping with today's
And
holiday.
Joe's going to stay with us.
Sure, I'll stay.
Good.
All right.
Wonderful.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
We consider ourselves a family business. We follow a lean manufacturing philosophy where we always try to get everybody involved and continuously improving the company. We've been doing business with Milford Bank for, I'd say, 20 or 25 years now. They work hard to know your business, and they really just give you that personalized attention you need in any of your business or personal banking needs. Paul Hoffman from Orange Research, and I choose to bank with the Milford Bank.
Have a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook. This fall, explore the beautiful landscape enhanced by the architectural design and art at the Philip Johnson Glass House in New Canaan. Open for the season now through November 30th, the Glass House is a National Trust historic site that sits on 49 acres of pastoral landscape, comprised of 14 total structures, and a permanent collection of 20th century painting and sculpture, as well as temporary exhibitions. Tours are available on Sunday, Monday, and Thursdays through Saturdays. Advance reservations are recommended. Visit theglasshouse.org for more information and to get your tickets.
Washington Prime, now open on Main Street in Georgetown. Come enjoy our relaxed setting, excellent service, award-winning nightly happy hours, and feast on our creative new American cuisine. Connecticut Magazine's winner for Best Steak, Washington Prime of Georgetown.
The leaves are changing, water temps dropping, and the sun is setting a little earlier each day. But there's still a lot of great boating, fishing, and coast time left before we see the first snow. And above all, remember, it's always summer at the Dock Shop. With loads of new fishing tackle and accessories, clothing, jewelry, and home decor, the Dock Shop is just what you need when you start to feel that New England autumn chill. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, dockshop.com.
If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier network, and we've also reached 1.7 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Welcome back to Arts and Leisure on the HN Network. Joe is sticking around to talk favorite Halloween movies. Thank you.
Sure.
And everyone is in the mood for Halloween, seeing it
Well,
tonight.
it is
falls
today,
right in line
right?
with our show. It's perfect. This is why we have our show on Mondays.
Yeah.
What are some of your guys' favorite Halloween movies? What are you going to be watching tonight when all the kids are doing the trick-or-treating?
Well, you know, if I wanted to get really scared, something I haven't seen yet is The Witch, which I think is on Netflix right now.
There you go. You can watch it when you get home.
It's 17th century New England. A family moves out to the wilds of New England because the people in the village they settled in aren't pure enough Puritans, so they want to get into their own space and worship as they choose and
get extra pure.
And get extra pure and there's a witch.
Oh.
There's a witch.
There's always a witch.
But the thing is that I mean, it's sort of based on New England lore and the idea that, you know, these people were moving into a wilderness where they didn't know what was out behind the trees. There were Indians, there were wild animals, there were all kinds of threats. And it all kind of congealed into the idea of the witch. And scary
it's easier to blame
happen.
the witch than it is to blame everything.
Well,
yeah.
you know, a baby disappears. And
you haven't seen this?
I haven't seen it yet. I've been trying to steel myself to see it.
So you're kind of in the, you like to watch a new movie every Halloween or no?
These are my people. I mean, my ancestors settled in like 1640 in Connecticut. So
personal history.
I would kind of like to see what it was really like because it's done very authentically. And this is like a $3 million budget movie that has already made $40 million. So
wow.
This is a new film?
It came out this year in February.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting.
I was going to say, it does sound very interesting. What about you, Joe? Do you like to watch movies that you've already watched? Do you like to sample new ones, kind of like what Sally's doing tonight?
Yeah, I'll do sort of both.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up working in the film department at Fairfield Public Library, so I sort of had a whole film education, and it was very eccentric from silent movie. You know, we'd watch the silent Phantom of the Opera, and then go to like Herschel Gordon Lewis, which was like, he was sort of called like the Godfather of gore. He did a lot of like gore films in the '60s, which were very sort of cheesy, but they're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
They have a
but
lot of blood.
They do have a lot of blood, or a lot of red paint anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm a huge Hitchcock fan, if that counts as horror, which
of course.
it
Yeah,
could,
it
you know.
does,
But,
sure.
yeah. But I also love
Birds.
Vincent Price. And,
The Fly.
The Fly and Theater of Blood. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh,
one,
yes.
but the Theater Connection. But Theater of Blood is a lot of fun, and that's him and Diana Rigg plays his daughter.
What are some
Think
things
of
that
that.
really scare you?
Oh, gosh.
That really throw you off?
I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of what would I not watch at night. I mean, there's Black Mirror, which is that's on Netflix
The TV
now.
show. There's a lot of TV shows that do horror really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
American Horror Story. I
Yeah.
still have to catch up on a little bit. That's been interesting. Have you
There's
seen
nothing.
that? At all?
There's nothing like American Horror Story on TV. It is so unique, and whether you love it or hate it, it really does kind of transcend the genre of horror and does it on TV, which is really spectacular. It's so well done, and the acting is top notch, but the direction and just the way that the fourth season in particular, when they're at the carnival, it's just the shots and the way that it moves, and it's intense, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's
this season- this
horrifying
season's
and funny, and it does a lot of different things. It plays a lot of different strings.
And it seems like every season they have a new setting. Kind of in this season,
Right.
without giving too much away, they've kind of like already jumped to like a whole different.
It's not afraid to take really bold
Yeah.
risks middle of
Yeah,
season, like in
exactly.
the middle of a season.
Exactly. And I mean, I like the Twilight Zone. Also, I've been watching some of those lately.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are great to go back to.
Yeah. Like Black Mirror got me into watching some
Yeah.
Twilight Zones, and Alfred Hitchcock Presents, which is a lot of fun also. But,
Yes.
And we were talking about it before the show. Stranger Things is another TV show. If you're kind
Yeah.
of into the spooky type, kind of gets you in the mood. It's not
Yeah.
exactly horror, but it's definitely
Well,
kind
it's
of.
pretty horror.
There's a lot of
the idea of something lurking. I think
creatures is such a
yeah.
big part of it.
But I mean, the scary thing to me is something that you can't see.
Right.
The thing that's out there that you know is out there that is stalking, like you hear the footsteps in the upstairs hallway,
Right.
and you're saying, "Don't go up there."
Well, I guess it all depends on what scares people, right? I mean,
Yeah.
people are scared by all different things, and I mean, I used to work in a video store, and people would be like, "What's the scariest movie you have?" And I wish I could remember the answer to that right now. But it's not. I mean, it's not like everyone is scared by the same thing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, if you're scared of snakes on a plane would not be good.
exactly.
Yeah, most people think it's like a comedy and a
Yeah.
joke movie, but it's a horror
Yeah,
movie
but-
to some people that are
Oh,
extremely
my,
fear.
yeah.
Like mine, like I thought Interstellar was just terrifying, like outer space and time, and the fact that in 5 days you could age 90 years is just like, it's so terrifying. And at the end of the movie, he's basically lapsed his daughter, who's like 97, and he's
Yeah.
still the same age.
Oh,
It's-
wow.
Yeah, I wouldn't think of that
I
as a
haven't seen
horror
It's,
film.
but then the reason why I was thinking of Interstellar is I was kind of preparing Alien is obviously one of
Yeah.
the mainstays of this
Right.
Yeah.
genre, and that's actually a true horror movie. But again, it's outer space. They're contained. They're in one specific location, and even though they're in outer space, they're all in the ship, and they've got to kind of come up with a way to survive this catastrophic situation.
I was thinking of kids' scary movies too, to kind of
Sure.
bring kids into it.
So not The Shining,
No, The Witches,
The Witches.
based on the Roald Dahl
Mm-hmm.
book,
Right.
which is Angelica Houston,
Oh, that's
and
right.
she turns a little boy into a rat.
Right, I remember watching that as a kid.
That's great because one of the things that really scares kids are masks,
Right,
and the witches all
taking
are,
off a mask.
peeling their faces off.
Right.
It's just like, oh,
Wow.
it's a wonderful film.
The fact that someone can transform
Yeah.
just by taking off a mask is
Yeah. They take their wigs off.
Right.
Their
If you're a
their
kid,
faces.
that's like deer in the headlights type stuff.
Yeah.
So Sally, what are some of the classics that you like?
Well,
in
you
this?
know, I was reading at the Times yesterday, and they were talking about Night of the Living Dead,
Oh, that's a great one.
and
yeah.
and how it used to it was originally Night of the Living Flesh Eaters. Oh. That was the original title, and what the poor guys who created this film, which was really an indie, very cheaply made,
George Romero, who's
George Romero.
He's one of the
yeah,
kind of-
and the Steiner brothers, I think,
Mm-hmm.
or they changed the name to Night of the Living Dead, but they didn't recopyright it, and so it became public domain very quickly.
right.
So they lost control of it, but they're redoing it with the Museum of Modern Art, which had the original film, and they had other film that was cut.
Really?
And they're recreating a new version of it, so they will get rights back to it. as Night of the Living Dead. It's really an interesting story.
Yeah, that is. I know a bit about public domain film, and
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons that I think people know about that film as much as they do is because it was in public domain, because everyone
Yeah.
would show it.
Oh,
And Wonderful Life
yes.
was like that too for a while. You know, Wonderful Life was on TV
Exactly.
100 times, and not that's a horror movie, but it's kind of it
has
gets
a
a little
little
dark there.
scary.
Yes.
There's a dark moment or two.
Yes.
And any other ones that you recommend people to watch?
Other films, well, I mean, I guess back on Vincent Price, I really do like House of Wax a lot.
House of
and
Wax is
good,
that
yeah.
was actually released on, it was shot in 3D originally, and they released it in 3D on Blu-ray a couple years ago, and that's a lot of fun to see it like that.
Yeah.
Well, and then there's the classic. I think of all classics is the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes.
Now, have
Yeah.
you ever done that at MTC?
We haven't. It's always on the list, but
Yeah.
we didn't
Rocky
do it
Horror
this
is
year.
the classics
Maybe
of all
next
classics,
year,
and I
but-
forgot to add a photo in our photo
Oh
folder.
yeah.
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 And they just did a new version
Yeah,
with
they just
Laverne
did
Fox.
the
Yes, it's on Fox. It was on Fox.
one.
Yeah.
I think you
Yeah.
can still watch it online, but yeah, that
Yeah.
was done
Yeah, last
2
week.
weeks ago. Yeah, last week.
But
yeah.
TV is just like, it's crazy how many horror shows there are out there. I mean, between True Blood on HBO,
Walking Dead.
Yeah, Walking Dead with the zombies.
The election.
Yeah. Next Tuesday's horror. It's horror within itself, is real life. Silence of the Lambs is one that I wanted to mention. Do you guys consider
Yeah,
that
that's-
horror or
Oh,
more
yeah.
psychological thriller?
It's both.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty horrible. It's
You
pretty
got
horrible.
Anthony Hopkins there in the
Yeah.
mask. That always creeps me out. That was like one of the movies I saw when I was a little kid, and I was just
One,
like,
when I haven't seen in a long, long time, Donnie Darko.
yes, that's a
Oh,
great
yeah.
Halloween movie.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
In fact,
Yeah.
that's one I usually
The
watch
creepy
around
bunny.
this time of year. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of costumes in that one and a lot of blood.
Yeah.
Sci-fi too.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. They do a lot of time kind of loops. And
Yeah. I mean, and then you can do all the Wes Craven ones. Those are, I don't know.
Oh yeah, and John Carpenter.
Yeah.
You can't not talk about this kind of genre without mentioning Wes Craven. He's Nightmare on Elm Street. You have Halloween, which is Carpenter's.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of movies from the
Scream.
70s
Right,
and
Scream was
early
really
80s.
good,
I know
yeah.
you wanted to
2,
talk about
3, 4.
E.T. Speaking
Well,
of the 80s.
E.T., just because the scary part of E.T. for kids, again, this is a film I would show to kids for Halloween, for kind of a semi-scary thing, is the government men who come in and try and take control of
Right,
E.T.
right.
and how kids can learn that something that looks originally scary, E.T., is lovely, and people who look normal are scary. But there's so much comedy in it.
Right.
It's just, I think it's.
You wouldn't think it's a horror movie but it is a Halloween movie.
Yeah,
in the
I mean,
sense
picture
of
that.
Yeah.
I mean, just the picture of the bike going across the moon.
Yeah,
with E.T. in
there's
the
something
basket
very
is just-
Halloween about it.
Yeah.
Nighttime,
Yeah.
and they go trick or treating, of course. In
Yeah.
the
Oh,
movie,
right,
too.
they dress them up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. They put a sheet over him.
Exactly. Are there any ones that we missed, or should?
Oh gosh.
I don't want to put you on the
I was trying
spot.
to
You're
think,
like
no,
new to the couch.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of what else I have on my pile of DVDs to watch.
Oh, how about the Addams Family?
Oh, Addams Family is fun.
Addams
yeah,
Family
the
is fun.
I mean, between
Yeah.
the TV show and the movies.
Yeah.
And Rosemary's Baby. I've
Rosemary's
actually wanted to
Baby is a
watch
classic.
Oh yeah.
That's really creepy.
Shaun of the Dead is really good too.
Oh, actually, I haven't seen that one.
Oh no,
I'll have
it's
to
so
check that
funny.
out.
Yeah, if you're like into the mood for a comedy horror movie, that's like.
yeah.
I like
that's the
comedy
best.
horror. I think that's
I'd
where
recommend
I'd go.
Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead.
And
There's
There's
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
There's a
yeah.
couple Ghostbusters on the Halloween walk on Saturday in Richfield that I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Hocus Pocus seems to be a sort of a classic also, which I don't think did very well when it first came
Yeah.
out, but with Bette Midler and Sarah Jessica Parker.
It's
and
had kind of
Kathleen
a
Jimmy, but-
return.
Yeah, I think they're doing a stage version of it next year or something.
Really?
Yeah, it seems like all these Disney properties, they're taking out the films that didn't do that well, like Newsies didn't do very well when it first came out, but then they turned it into
A play.
a Broadway musical and it
Yeah.
did tours and stuff. And yeah.
Well, and anything Tim Burton.
Oh, Tim Burton.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, Ed
Yeah.
Wood is great.
Ed Wood is really
yeah, I
good.
wouldn't say it's a
Yeah.
horror movie, but
Yeah.
kind of, right? I mean,
It's a biopic, but it's a horror
Beetlejuice.
Oh,
and,
Beetlejuice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Nightmare Before Christmas.
movie. Yep. There's a
Those are good.
lot of good.
He's just got such a
Yeah, I was
wonderful
going to
twisted
say
mind. That,
he is very twisted.
Yeah.
Anything that he does. We're going to head off. This concludes today's show. We'll be back on next week. We got Jack Sanders talking about Wicked Richfield, kind
Yeah,
of sticking
bring
with
him
this.
on.
Yeah. Sticking with this kind of haunted horror kind of.
Yeah.
Bad-
Well, the horror continues. next
Yeah, the
week.
horror continues next week. We'll be back with Arts and Leisure on the HN Network then.